Hello! Today I'm going to take a look at this mechanical pencil set by Four Candies. I'll get back to basics and do some good old-fashioned drawing, seeing as it's the only candy I can have at the moment. Let's get into it! I had never heard of Four Candies before until they sent me an email asking me if I wanted to try out one of their products. I opted for this set of mechanical pencils because I really don't have that many in my collection, so I figured I could have a few more. It looks like a really nice set actually, there's heaps of stuff in here. And their products are on Amazon, so I'll link those in the description below. They do seem to be a lot cheaper in the United States when compared to Australia though, which is kind of a bummer. But anyway, I'll put them there so you could check them out, and I'll also link their website. So this set comes with 6 different mechanical pencils. 3 are the standard ones, and then 3 are the clasp type pencils. A whole load of pencil leads in different hardnesses, and some colourful ones, which I was quite curious about. Just looking at the amount of pencil leads in this set, I don't think I'm ever going to run out now. I'll get into some drawing soon, but I better take a closer look at everything first, since they sent this to me for free. But they haven't told me what to say, so all of the opinions are my own. First up are the standard mechanical pencils, ranging in size from 0.5 to 0.7 and 0.9. I was wondering if this was a little dial, because it says HB and you can spin it round, but there was no other lettering there. And then when I looked more closely at the pencil leads, they are all HB, which is a standard for mechanical pencils really. It's not too hard and not too soft, and pretty much most of my other ones are HB as well. I think I have some 2B somewhere, slightly softer, but HB is mostly what I've always used when it comes to regular pencils like this. They feel really nice to hold, they are metallic, they're not too heavy though, and they have a comfortable rubber grip. And the other 3 pencils here are the ones which hold the much wider leads. You can see it's very pointy on the end though, so they start out with a nice sharp point. I may have said this was a clasp pencil, I don't think it actually is now, it just holds a thicker 2mm lead. Now the dials on these ones do have different numbers, and they have provided leads in an assortment of different hardnesses. I've just gone back to HB for now, and this is where I discovered you can't put the pencil back in if the lead is out, so you have to push it in, and you just do that by holding the clicker part down. There's a tube of tiny erasers, and those are in the standard mechanical pencils there. So 3 of them have the erasers, but the 3 thicker ones don't. And then there are some coloured leads, and I have never used these before, so I was really intrigued. There's all sorts of different colours in here. It says graphite lead, but it does feel more like a crayon or coloured pencil, and there are 2 of those, whereas all of the rest of the grey leads are just a single container each. I'm glad there are 2 of the colour ones, because that means there are spare colours for when I run out, if I run out, of the first pot. There's a little indentation just for these ones, and I think the presentation of this set is actually really good. It's super handy having everything in a box, because this would easily go into my art bag, so I think the convenience of it is great, and having all of the leads together is excellent, and each mechanical pencil size has 2 pots of leads here. There are also 2 erasers. These are identical, they're just standard plastic erasers. There are 2 little sharpeners for the 2mm ones, so you can sharpen the ends. And finally, there's a kneaded eraser in a very convenient little box. That's going to be much easier to store it, and I was poking at it, it feels pretty soft. Now I find that kneaded erasers can be very hit or miss. Quite often they're just too firm and they don't really work as well as I'd like. The Faber-Castell one is my all-time favourite kneaded eraser. It's so squishy and delightful. I'm going to put this one up against the Faber-Castell one to see how good it is. And I really needed to open a new kneaded eraser anyway this year, because my old ones are looking very grubby. I'll spare you the struggle of me trying to get the plastic off these. Faber-Castell on the right and Four Candies on the left. As I squeeze them, you can see Faber-Castell is definitely squishier, but Four Candies wasn't too bad. Oh gosh, look at the state of my old erasers. They are just full of graphite, and once they reach a certain point, there's no cleaning them really. It's a good time to start out the new year with some fresh kneaded erasers, and I'm just actually kneading them now because I like to mould them to a more comfortable shape. And Four Candies was doing very well. Not quite as pliable as Faber-Castell, but pretty close. And of course, once it's like that, it's very hard to get it squished back in the box. I'm just going to swatch everything briefly. I wanted to test out all of the pencils and just see what the leads are like. I can report that everything is as I would expect. I mean, they're mechanical pencils. They're not reinventing the wheel here or anything, but the graphite leads are nice and smooth, the pencils are comfortable to hold, and they work perfectly well. I really like these larger 2mm pencils. They're really nice, especially when it's brand new and it's got that lovely point on it. That does wear down over time, but I will be sharpening them a little bit with the sharpeners later. And I'm just sketching out some graphite here so I can test out all of the erasers, including the two in this set plus the Faber-Castell. So first up is the plastic eraser, works perfectly fine. It's a great eraser, no problems with that, although you can see all the shavings. And this is where a kneaded eraser is a lot better for that. The Four Candies one worked out nicely, and I'll just use the Faber-Castell for some comparison here. And you can see all of them have rubbed out well. The Fabers are a tiny bit better, but not significantly so. And I tested again just using really light pencil to see if I can get all of it to disappear, because I had drawn it on quite hard before. And all three erasers worked perfectly well. All of the pencil disappeared, so I'm really happy with the products. I was dismantling pencils here so I could try some of the different leads, and you can see they're easy enough to pull out and then just replace with different hardnesses depending on what you want. All three had a default HB lead in there, so I'm putting in a softer 4B lead into one of the pencils, and just so I can remember which one is which, I can then use that very convenient little dial to move that around to a 4B, and then it's just easy to know which one is in there. All three of these pencils look identical otherwise. The only minor glitch I had is that I have now two extra HB leads and they're not going to fit in that box until I use some of them up, so I've just had to store them loose in the box. I thought I would put one of the coloured leads into the other pencil, but firstly I'm just going to very gently test them out and not break the leads because that would be so annoying. They definitely have a waxy coloured pencil feel, and they don't rub out with the erasers, much like a standard coloured pencil. But there's some pretty colours in here, and these would be really fun to sketch with, so I'm hoping to do that as well. I put the sanguine in just to test it out inside the pencil. As you can see, it's really not lifting with those erasers, so they're definitely not erasable coloured pencils like a few other brands have. I grabbed out some nice drawing paper, and I'm going to do some sketching with pencils. Back to basics we go. I'm using the 2mm lead pencils here in HB and 4B a bit later, and I'm drawing a snail from this photo that I took of one in my garden. I'm using only the Four Candies kneaded eraser now. I put the Faber-Castell one away. I just wanted that for comparison, really. I'm wearing a cotton glove that I chopped the fingers off so I can hold the pencil more easily, and this just prevents any oils from my hand going onto the paper and messing with the graphite. Usually I have a smudge glove, but I just could not find that anywhere. I found it later, of course. It had been quite a while since I'd just spent some time using a pencil to do just drawing like this. No other colours, no paint, just me and a mechanical pencil, getting in some sketchy lines, doing some shading and trying to render the snail just in grayscale. I did use the 4B to get a bit of a darker shade in some areas as well. I really like the pencils in this set. They're just nice and easy to hold, they flow really well, the graphite's nice and smooth, and I didn't have any issues at all. Even getting the graphite pieces in and out of the pencil was easy enough, and the mechanism to click it is nice and smooth too, so they're well made. I like the sleek black and silver designs as well. So that's the snail done, and now I'm drawing a picture of my cat Gandalf. He was being quite naughty this day, starting to climb this tree so he could jump onto the fence over to the neighbours. I snapped that photo just before I escorted him away from that area, and I'm just sketching part of the picture, basically just him and one of the tree branches rather than all of the leafy detail around him. I drew in a very basic outline, and now I'm going in with details and fixing up any shape as I go along. And I'm using one of the regular mechanical pencils, I think this is a 0.5, and the little eraser on the end of the pencil, which is super handy for rubbing out tiny little areas. In my opinion, drawing, and drawing well, is the hardest skill to learn when it comes to making art. I find painting a lot easier than drawing. And that's because drawing is the absolute fundamental building block of a piece of art. If you don't get the drawing right, if it's out of proportion or it just doesn't look right, then the rest of it is just going to be a complete disaster. If the drawing part is right, then the painting is so much easier to do. So it is really good practice to grab a pencil of some kind and start drawing. Then do more drawing and some more drawing after that. It's never ending. It's something that all artists can benefit from, regardless of your skill level. The more you draw, the easier it becomes, like anything really. The drawings don't have to be super detailed either. I spent the most time drawing in his face with a fair bit of detail, but the rest of his body and the tree branch I sketched in fairly quickly, and I'm using more scribbly lines here to depict his fur. Drawing can be a few lines or many lines depending on your own preference and style. I like to do something that's semi-realistic but not hyper-realistic because I have no patience to sit there for hours and hours. Moving on to my next drawing, and I thought I would draw my other cat, Trixie. This one was very awkward because her head is upside down and I struggled a bit to get the shape and the proportion right, but it was a really good challenge and it was giving my brain something to really concentrate on, drawing a face upside down. It's not so natural for our minds to see a face upside down as it is right side up, so it was really challenging my hand-eye coordination to get her face right. And I rubbed it out a few times before I was happy. That's perfectly fine. Who cares how many times you rub out a picture? But my suggestion is to draw as lightly as possible so you can lift that graphite up easily and leave minimal marks behind when you've rubbed it out. I really like how this drawing turned out, it's so cute. But I think overall my drawing is definitely improving over time. I feel a lot more confident when I do it, and I'm able to perceive the shapes of things a lot more easily than I used to. And that just comes with years and years of practice. I still have so much to learn, and it's a skill that I'm always trying to master. I don't know if I'll ever get there, but I keep trying. And drawing little pictures like this really does help. So I decided this was a good point to sharpen the end of this pencil. It works well enough, maybe not quite as sharp as what they first started off with, but I was able to get a fairly decent point back on it. You do have to pull the leads out a little bit to do that. I had a bit of space left in the middle of this page, so I'm drawing in a beetle from a photo I found online. This would be a really good one to paint with shiny paints, but I'm just using pencil today and just getting in the values that I could see on there, values being the light and shadow. I had a lot of fun drawing these pictures. I did this in the Christmas break. I was just feeling like doing some drawing, so I figured I might as well film it as well. And here is the final page using some of the different mechanical pencils. I just added a little fly for Gandalf to look at there to give it some sort of perspective. And I really like how this turned out. It was just going back to basics using a pencil and paper. I haven't done that for a while, so it was good for me. But I think it's time to do another drawing with some coloured leads, because I absolutely had to try those ones out as well. And I've used all three pencils for 3 different colours. I'll flip over to a new page in this drawing pad and let's get going again. Now I filmed this before I had the new sketchbook, otherwise I probably would have done my drawings in there, but never mind. I also really like this Lana drawing paper, which is in my collection, and I do pull it out occasionally to do some drawing on. So the picture I'm doing here is from this lovely dog photo that wasn't taken by me. I'll credit the photographer in the description, but I thought this one would be really fun to do, and I'm actually sketching with the black coloured pencil, and I was really hoping I wasn't going to make a mess of it because it's extremely hard to erase these, as I showed before. But I managed to get it done in one take without making too much of a mess, and now I'm going in with 2 different colours. I decided I really liked the look of the orange, and I've also got a greenish blue colour which I thought was really nice too, and it's not really meant to be colour accurate obviously, but I was just using 2 different colours to make it look interesting and to try out as many leads as I could, which is 3 of them because I have 3 pencils to hold them. That would be the only downfall of this set, is that you have to switch out colours if you want to use more than 3 at any given time, but I mean it's not that big of a deal, they're easy enough to switch. The coloured pencil leads I used were very nice. They went down smoothly on the paper and they have a decent amount of pigment in them, so they're not too wishy-washy. They actually put out a nice colour. I mean, they're maybe not as vibrant as actual coloured pencils, but for sketching they're really nice, and you can get some really interesting effects using some colours rather than a standard grey lead. So it's another way to change up your drawing and make it more interesting. You could use a few colours like I am here, or just a single colour, or maybe one colour per drawing and have a whole bunch of different coloured drawings on the same page. I've seen a lot of artists do that, and I've done that myself. It's good fun. I'll have to do that in my new sketchbook at some point. If you're interested in drawing from some of the reference photos that I've shown today, I found my old Flickr account, so I think I'll start uploading photos that I've taken to that so you can use them if you like for your own reference. And of course I can only share the ones that are my photos, not the ones that are by other people. This Cocker Spaniel picture I found on the Facebook group, Free Reference Photos for Artists. You do have to apply to join, but it's free, and once you're a member, there is a vast library of photos to choose from, and people upload them continuously, so it's always growing and there's always something interesting to be had on there. It's well worth joining. I've got loads of pictures in my directory that I still haven't drawn yet. So in this sketch, I did focus most of my attention on the dog's face, and now I'm just adding in a sketchy body at the bottom because I didn't want to have the whole thing just completely detailed. It's just more fun to detail one area sometimes and leave the rest as fairly basic. But this whole thing was a fairly quick sketch, and I really like how it turned out. Considering I didn't rub out any lines, it was actually pretty well proportioned. I really love that green colour. It's so lovely, but the orange works well next to it. You can see I drew this late last year, and I am just really impressed with the coloured pencils in this set. So here's everything that I got drawn today. All of the mechanical pencils worked perfectly, I had no issues with anything, and the coloured ones were just an added bonus, which gives another interesting avenue for drawing if you just get tired of plain old graphite. So even though it's a little bit expensive in Australia, this set is actually really great, and I do think it's value for money because I'm never going to run out of those leads. I'll probably have to replace the kneaded eraser at some point. But overall, excellent set. I would highly recommend it, and if you just want to get something nice for drawing, it's a good one. So I'd like to thank Four Candies for sending it to me to try out. I really enjoyed it, and I love this little case just holding everything together, so hopefully I won't lose those pencils. And thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, and you might want to click subscribe for more videos. And while you're waiting for the next one, here are a couple of previous videos I've done, and I will see you all again really soon in my next video. Have a great day out there, and I'll swatch you later. Bye!